Hello everybody and welcome to the life of a board gamer. My name is Daniel and today we are going to paint the marine from the Pit the board game. It's fairly easy miniature to paint, so let's get to it. We are going to start by painting his under armor or his clothes or whatever it is. Also we are going to paint the visor and hands. Don't forget about the hands. And for that we are going to use a field blue, and you just start applying this over his under armor or whatever you want to call it, and just make paint thin enough to go with the two thin coats to give it a smooth matte finish. With that part finished, we are going to use carmine red and we are going to paint his entire armor, his helmet, his shoulder pads, knee pads, all the armor of the miniature. And you'll probably need to go with 2 or 3 thin coats depending how good your red is. This one looks kinda awful, but it will look nice at the end. Armor is complete and we need to put some shade in all these recesses, and for that we are going to use Nuln oil, and we are just going to go very carefully and shade all the recesses that we can find. There are some on his helmet, there is some on his legs over here and his hands, and while you're at it you also shade these recesses here on his under armor or his uniform, whatever it is. So shading is complete, and now we need to highlight all these red parts, and we are going to use vermilion for that. And what you want to do is just go over the edges and be very careful and just give it a subtle highlight. It's barely visible in this combination of color, but trust me, it's there and it will make the miniature look much better. Just go over the edges wherever you can find any edge. You can find it on his shoulder pads, and be very neat about it. With the red highlights complete, they're very subtle but you can see them, they're there. We are going to paint the gun, and the gun we are going to paint with a combination of solid and metal colors, but first we are going to go with the intermediate green and just paint entire gun, watching to not paint over the hands and all the parts that we did so far. So just paint the gun and maybe apply 2 thin coats if needed. When the green is all dried up, we are going to use gunmetal and just paint few parts of this gun, and that parts are this muzzle front of the gun, and only this part of this ammo clip, and then this end on the buttstock. And be very careful not to go over the green parts that are already done. Metal parts are done, and we also painted this little connector between buttstock and the rifle in the metal, and now it's time for us to highlight this gun, and we are going to start with highlighting the green parts, and for that we are going to use German Camo bright green color, and just very carefully with the side of the brush highlight the hard edges of the gun, and watch out for the rest of the miniature to not go over it. This is very subtle highlight, almost unseen, but it's there and it really gives a little depth to the miniature even though you don't see it at first. With that part complete, we have to highlight the metal parts of the gun, and for that we are going to use a plate mail metal, and we are just going to slightly highlight it, just the tip of the gun. Just watch to not overdo it. And then we have this buttstock. Let's go with it, and you just go with the side and just highlight the edges. Maybe you can do a few lines like so, just to make it look like it's wear and tear. And we have, don't forget about this part over here, just put a quick little line, and then some parts of this clip like so. Gun is complete, and we are continuing the highlights. Now we have to highlight all the dark gray parts, his uniform and everything, and you just go over these edges where we already went with the wash, and just go and subtle line of highlight, nothing much, and you do that all around. You can do it like so, so you know where his butt cheeks are. And then you can do some things like battle damage, like I did with some other part, the red parts, where you just put some streaks like so and make it like it's worn out. And don't forget to highlight fingers also. And while you are at it, his visor, of course. So highlights are complete, and while you are using neutral gray, use it also to paint the base of the miniature, and just be very careful around the legs so you don't paint over those. And we are almost complete with the miniature after this step. With base done and highlights and everything, all we need to do is now paint these orbs on his forehead. And for that we are going to start with sky gray, and just be very neat about it, because you don't want to mess up the work you did so far. And just paint those 3 orbs. And with sky gray complete, we are going to use a white and just put a little dot on each of these orbs, just to give it some kind of highlight, so to say. And that is it. The marine is complete. I hope you really like this tutorial. So until next time, pozdrav!